Like most of us are still here, because those are the real farmers who can stay a whole day until the very end. Now we know agriculture is the backbone of our economy. And whilst we're struggling with poverty and unemployment and inequality, as long as you work with animals and plants, and as long as you plant and you slaughter and you sell, you are a producer. You are not an unemployed person. Whether you contribute to the formal economy or the informal economy, whether you sell to your communities or you sell to a Pick n Pay or other offset markets, you contribute to our economy and you contribute to food security. And therefore you are a producer. And we must change our perception. We must value our agriculture producers almost above any and all other professions. We always say you've chosen the most difficult career in the world, to be a farmer. We either complain it's raining too much or it's raining too little. You can work as hard as you can. You can work your hands to the bone, and you can walk away with nothing after one hailstorm, after one heat wave, after one snowstorm. You must have passion and enthusiasm. If you do not want to get your hands dirty, do not be in agriculture. You're in the wrong space then. It is hard work. I always say, thank God there are people who are willing to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go check if their chickens are okay. Because that's not me. Those chickens better take care of themselves. But we have young and old farmers, new and existing and developed farmers, who are so passionate and share that passion with new entrants, with whoever wants to show interest. And the spirit of helping one another is even here today. I think it's clear we have specific challenges, both with the Provincial Department of Agriculture, but also with our municipalities, whether it's district or local. And the only way we're going to resolve them is if we bring each other closer. I don't like what I heard, that we are saying that our support services are not on the commonages, that we seldom see veterinary services on our commonages. Because unfortunately our commonages is where most of our people and of our farmers find themselves. We really need to get proper profiles of our commonages. We need to know where What are we farming with? This deurmekaar spul of cattle and sheep and pigs and goats and chicken and planting, we need to begin to find order in our communities, but we can only do that if we do our planning properly. We need to begin to separate out our different commodities. It is a huge biosecurity risk what is busy happening, and it's not only a problem of Metsimaholo communities. It is all over the Free State, if not the country. We have similar challenges, but systematically we have to begin to replan communities and find solutions. You will know that a farmer does not live by himself. They all belong to farmers' associations of some kind. Now, our board structure of Zilidabi, we are so happy that you are here, you are so visible. It is a strong network of support, of sharing knowledge, sharing experience. And we really encourage our women farmers to join our board structures. But equally our youth, and even the slightly older youth, join our yard structure, the Youth in Agriculture and Rural Development. It's networks that you can tap into.
Bomme ba tsa temo ra le amogela ebile re ananela seabo sa lona lekaleng lena la temo re a bona le ntse le tswela pele ho sebetsa le se ka le ka kgothaletsa ba bang ba bomme ba e leng dihwai hore le bona ba tle ba kenele mokgatlo ona wa ward. Ha se taba ya bomme fela, re kgothaletsa le batjha ho bona hore ba ba le mekgatlo eo ba welang ho yona.
I was very happy this morning to hear there is a Metsimaholo Farmers Association. It's so critical for you to become organized. But let me advise you to have someone specifically dealing with youth. You must have a youth representative. And equally, I think it was last week we were in Portugal, and we were listening to the same issues. Stock theft. The police is not reacting. In your case, was you don't have a rep of the stock theft unit or an office. And they were saying at the end of the meeting, okay, we will agree to engage Portugal Livestock Committee with Stock Theft Unit. And I said to them, I can see you are going to talk English for 6 months here. In your structure, have someone dealing with security and stock theft, so that you have a central point where you can coordinate all of the stock theft cases and take it up structurally with SAPS. What we are doing, because we are asking for case numbers, we've had 2 engagements now with the Minister of Police by then and Deputy Minister of Police about a month ago. On stock theft engagements, we've been to Tabanshu, we've had a huge stock theft in Daba in Bloemfontein. And the same issues keep being raised. Cases are important, the police take time. What if they have vehicles to show up on the farm? It starts from as basic as that to how to trace. Because you are fortunate, you are further from the Lesotho border than some of the farmers in Tauberfits and Yani. But the reaction time is critical. It is almost faster for you to post in your WhatsApp groups to say my cattle is stolen, help trace, than it is to rely on the police for the reaction time. You are more likely to get your cattle back through your informal networks than from a formal network of the police, of the State Stock Theft Unit. So if we get more organized, and part of it, like it or don't like it, it's the reality of life. But then we have organized stock theft. We have the syndicates who move an entire herd in one night. We know the routes to the illegal auctions. These things are known. But if we are not structured and do not have a formalized approach, we are going to continue these complaints and not getting anywhere. So I think those are two critical issues that with Smaller Farmers Association can really immediately start to make a difference and assist all farmers. So this morning I said to you, you are far too quiet, I've never heard of you. You had a voice today, so well done. Far too quiet, I've never heard of you. You had a voice today, so well done. Now we've had this food security program of the presidential employment stimulus. Many of you received feed and medication or a JoJo tank and production input. We are not sure that that has reached the right beneficiaries if I listen to you today. In total, there was 115 beneficiaries in Metsimaholo. Sasolburg 69, Oranieville 23, Deniseville 23. Most in Sasolburg received feed and medication. Few had JoJo tank, seeds, garden tools and pesticide. Oranieville, same combination, including shade net, Deniseville, same. But even the service providers who were delivering have raised the concern to say they're not too sure that some of these JoJo tanks will be there in a month's time or in 2 months' time. Because it's far too big for where they are located, which means we need to go back and look at how was our beneficiary identification. Because it's real people, they exist. Because all of our lists were submitted to National Department of Agriculture, it was verified, it's valid ID numbers. But listening to you, already you are saying you are giving feed to people who don't even have livestock, which is a problem.
Sasolburg 69, Orangeville 23, Deniseville 23. Empa ke na le kgwao e kgolo haholo ho mameleng ditlhahiso tsa lona le dipotso tsa lona mona tse di hlahisitseng. Mo le hlalositseng hore tse ding tsa dintho tse ho fanwang ka tsona di ne di kenyeletsa dijo, meriana, dijojo tanki, di-garden tools le tse ding. Le hlalositse hore tse ding tsa dintho tse di fuwe batho ba bang ba sa sebetseng ka tsona. Mme ke na le kgwao ka tsona, mme re tla bua ka kgutlela hape re check-a hobane listing e neng re na le yona e ne kentse le di-ID number le tsohle hobane batho ba ile ba ngodisa, mme ka morao ba ngodise re ile ra verifya list eo ho bona hore na e fumanwe ke batho ba tshwanetseng ho fumana na.
Let us make sure we get value out of what we receive. There must be impact. In the first round of distribution, we were contacted on a Sunday on Facebook by someone to say, listen, just check Facebook Marketplace. Your JoJo tanks are being sold. I had to phone Daddy Davisu on a Sunday to say, follow this guy, find him. And we found that person. Young man, he needed money, he sold his JoJo tank. But that was not the point. So he never needed the JoJo tank. And there are 1,000 people who desperately need and can use that JoJo tank. And that young man will never again receive anything from our department because we are also developing our own blacklist of beneficiaries who are simply irresponsible, who sell as soon as they receive anything. They are not genuine agricultural producers. And a genuine agricultural producer is the person from the backyard garden who plants for his own household or her own household, or on a commonage, or on a small plot, or on some kind of farm. All of them are agricultural producers, but you can easily see those who are serious and those who just want an opportunity to make any kind of money. So be aware we are creating that blacklist for irresponsible beneficiaries. You can hear how many people are here. Just with pleading, can we get assistance with either seed or water or a shade net or garden tools, even the most basic tools. So we cannot waste the resources.
Ke kopa hore le etse bonnete ba hore thepa e nngwe le e nngwe eo mmuso o le fang yona le sebedisa ka tsela e tshwanetseng bakeng sa ho tswela pele kapa ho tswela dikgwebo tsa lona molemo. Hona tabeng ena ya dithuso tsena tse re di kopang, ho ile ha ba le ketso e nngwe e ileng ya tla mane le jodiputso moo re ileng ra fana ka jojo tank ho motjha e mong, mme ya ba letsatsi kapa matsatsi a mabedi ka morao ho moo ke ha ke fumana mohala o reng ke tle ke share marketplace Facebook. Ha re kena mo Facebook re fumana hore motho enwa ya fuweng jojo tank ke yona o sa boela a e rekisa, mme seo ke sesupo sa tsena tse di hlalosang tsa hore batho ba bang ba fuwa thepa eo ba sa e hlokeng hobane ha ba qeta ho fuwa ba tsoha ba e rekisa, mme seo se etsa hore batho ba hlokang dithuso ba se ke ba fumana dithuso empa di ya ho batho ba sa di hlokeng. Mme se ntse ke ipiletsa ho lona hore seo e bang mmuso o le fa sona re kopa le se hlokomele le se sebedise ka tsela e tshwanetseng. Mme bao ba tla rekisa thepa e batlang ho fuwa lefapha le morerong wa ho etsa moralo wa hore re le blacklist lona ba fuwang dintho e ba hosane la le rekisa hore ka nako e tlang ha o etsa kopo ya mofuta ofe kapa ofe re kgutlela mane listing ya rona ya batho ba blacklistilweng, mme e bang o hlahella moo o kekebe wa fumantshwa thuso ya mofuta ofe kapa ofe.
It brings me to a very painful part where we must talk about failed projects that the Department of Agriculture invested in Metsimaholo. Let's talk about Metsimaholo fisheries. 41.6 million. Project not operational. Abandoned. Itikeng CPA poultry project in Deniseville. 6.1 million. Not operational. And in both the comments is that lack of commitment from beneficiaries. Do you know the impact we can make if we had 47.8 million rand today to spend in Metsimaholo on agriculture? We could have supported most of food security projects. We could have supported most of the commonages. But 48 million gone. No hope of retrieving it. Nothing. But what do? Do we simply meet with those beneficiaries and tell them, yeah, no, this was unfortunate? Where is responsibility? Consequence management must work two ways. As much as government must take responsibility and account for its funding, when we give money to projects, it's not money for Mahana. We must have impact. There must be value. It must move agriculture forward. So we must find a way how we will deal with these failed projects, because throw more money at those projects is not going to happen. We can't. So it's a challenge that we will have to come back to and focus on these two specific projects that has gone wrong and find a way forward. But it can never ever happen again. Whether it was wrong beneficiary selection, whether things went wrong and beneficiaries started fighting, I don't know what happened. But what I know is that if I had 48 million rand today, I could have sorted 90% of commonage problems in Metsimaholo. And this is where we are.
Ha re tla tabeng ya diprojeke tse facing kapa tse silweng fela ke taba e hlileng utlwisang bohloko haholo. Ha re sheba fela mona Metsimaholo fisheries Orangeville ile a supportiwa ka 41.6 million isiwe fela ha itswelele re tla projecteng ya Itiken CPA Poultry Dennisville le yona ile a bua 6.1 million isiwe fela project ha itswelele ha ke sheba total ya tšhelete eo e senyehileng kaofela e etsa 47.8 million mme tšhelete eo hoja ne re ne re nkile bakeng sa ho tshehetsa dihwai tse masakeng kapa ho tshehetsa diprojeke tse ding nkabe re entse projeke e kgolo haholo e teng ka hare ho metsimaholo ka mona mme seo se bolela hore re tshwanetse re le mmuso re tshwanetse ho ela hloko nakong eo re fanang ka ditshehetso tsa ditjhelete hore re se ke ra fana fela ka ditshehetso tsa ditjhelete ho batho ba senang tjantjello kapa ba senang thahasello tsa teng.
So let's just stand still a bit with foot and mouth disease. Last week Friday when we released our statistics, Sasolburg vet area had 42 positive cases. But on communal areas there was only 2 positive cases. Commercial was 27, small holding 7, feedlot 1, background feedlot 1. It's those farms that feed into the feedlots. Dairy farms 3, meat farms 1. There were 3 suspected cases. But Sasolburg is one of the Sasolburg vet area is one of our high-risk areas. Together with the lower part of Veselidabi, from Bukaka upwards, as well as Mafube. It is an outbreak, so when it comes to the vaccination, when vaccinations are ultimately available again, you will be amongst the high priority areas for vaccination. There was quite a number of questions regarding F branding. When a cattle was vaccinated, it got the F brand, which means the cattle is supposed to be safe. If you don't F brand, and they test at an auction, and they pick up antibodies of the vaccination, and you have not disclosed, you will be in even bigger trouble than if you disclosed and you were part of preventive vaccination. Now that we're going to have the national vaccination strategy, where we're basically saying, vaccinate the entire national herd of cattle. We're not going to vaccinate each and every cow. There's almost 20 million of them in the country. But we're going to vaccinate high-risk areas until we get to herd immunity. But the F branding, it looks like the F branding is going to be taken out of the picture because all of the cattle will be vaccinated. So we don't need to distinguish anymore. But what we will do, we will speak to our veterinarians, the chief director and acting chief director and acting director, so that we have an information session. Because initially when there's a suspected case and they test, they immediately quarantine and a radius of 10 kilometers around it, which means no movement. But if no one has come back to you to say what has happened, there is samples taken, you would have known if it was positive. So we presume that you did not have positive cases on the commonage because there was only the 2. But we will ask them to come back so that we have an information session so that you understand where are we going from there. The auctions, when you take an animal to auction, you are supposed to submit a certificate 48 hours in advance to certify the health of your animals. And we are putting pressure on auctions now to say comply with that prescription of the law. It's a regulation. You can't just rock up at an auction and say now we are selling. Your animals must be certified FMD and other disease free. So we need to support, we will never be able to stop this informal trade and informal selling that happens. We understand that because the pressure on all farmers is enormous at this stage. You must make a living. And also, if we say quarantine, we must be able to feed and water our animals. And there, the challenges on the commonages are much higher and much bigger than what we experience on commercial farms.
Tabeng ena ya FMD, Sasolburg ke enngwe ya dibaka tse nang le palo e hodimo haholo ya diphoofolo tse nang le bohloko bona, mme ha re sheba ho ya ka dipalopalo Masakeng ke 2, Commercial 27, small holding 7, feedlot 1, background feedlot 1, dairy 3, pig farm ke 1, mme tse ntseng di belaelwa tse ntseng di shebuwe ke di-case tse ka bang tse tharo. Batho ba bangata ba hlahisitse ngoleo ena ya hore mehlape ya bona e na le sembole ena ya F. Mme se ke ratang ho se hlalosa ke hore haebaneng ba ile ba fihla ba beya sembole ena ya F mohlapeng wa hao, seo se bolela hore phoofolo eo ya hao e entuwe. Mme ka seo se bolela hore o santsane o bolokehile mabapi le lefu lena la FMD. Mme e bang ba tseba kapa ba fumane hore mehlape ya hao e na le lefu le, ba tla boela ba kgutla hape dingaka tsa diphoofolo ba le tsebise hore tseba hore ka hare ho mohlape wa hao ho na le bohloko bona ba FMD. Tabeng ena ya difantisi, ke molao hore pele o ya fantising 48 hours pele o ya fantising o be le certificate se tswang ho dingaka tsa diphoofolo se netefatsang hore diphoofolo tsa hao ha di na bohloko bona ba FMD kapa bohloko bofe kapa bofe hore phoofolo ya hao e tle e kgone ho fetiswa moo. Empa se ke se elelletsweng ke hore batho ba bangata ba na le ngoreo ha e tluwa tabeng ena ya lefu lena le ka moo dingaka tsa diphoofolo di sebetsang ka teng. Mme ka hoo ke tlo kopa dingaka tse ikarabellang ka hare ho section ena ya veterinary services e leng director ya teng le chief director ya teng, ke kope di-doctor tseo ba tle ba be le dikopano tse ikgethileng le dihwai bakeng sa ho hlalosa ntlha ena ka botlalo le mehato ya polokeho le tshireletso hore le tle le utlwisise hore na hobaneng ha o sebetsuwa ka tsela eo ba sebetsang ka teng.
So we have already met with all mayors and all our MMs and made them aware that we have to re-establish pounds, but for the immediate, establish at least mobile handling facilities where we can quarantine stray animals. Because we cannot now move stray animals that are confiscated or impounded to the pounding Lady Brand. You will be moving FMD throughout the province. So the meeting I have immediately after this meeting is a meeting with the university to look at possible options and solutions that they have. Fortunately, we have a strong academic sector that has experience in the Faculty of Sustainable Food Systems. They have facilities that was on trial and were used very successfully in Namibia, dealing with FMD. So we want to look at what are the options available within the short time period, so that on the longer term we can work on re-establishing towns in at least all of our major towns, and smaller towns we must maintain some kind of quarantine handling facility, so that we are able to not only deal with FMD now, but on the long term we have a solution for stray animals.
Tabeng ena ya diphoofolo tse tletseng hohle mona re ntse re le dipuisanong le dimasepala tse fapaneng le bomajoro jwalo ho bona hore na ke tsela efeng e re ka e sebedisang kapa dibaka tse teng tse re ka etsang diphaullo tsa rona teng, hobane hona tjena e teng fela ke e mane le di-brand, mme ho nka diphoofolo ho di isa kwana re tla be re tsamaisa le lefu lena la FMD. Mme ha diphoofolo di le moo re tshwanetse le ho etsa bonnete ba hore di na le dijo, di na le metsi, di na le meriana bakeng sa hore di ne di kgone ho phela di tswele pele. Kopano ya ka e ke buileng ka yona e ke tlo kena ho yona hona jwale ke tlo kopana le bana ba University ya Free State ho bona hore na ke metjha efeng e re ka e sebedisang ho ya ka mahlale a bona jwalo ka university, hobane ba ile nna ba etsa diteko mane Namibia ho bona hore na ebe ke di-facility tsa mofuta ofe tse ka bang teng tse re ka di kenyang tshebetsong bakeng sa ho lwantshana le diphoofolo tsena tse tletseng hohle mona re ntse re nkela hlooho lefu lena la FMD.
We need to address fire protection. As Maximolo Farmers Association, you can take the lead and try to create a fire protection association, the FPA. Most of our communist farmers don't belong to a FPA. Some of our commercial farmers do. If we can create a FPA within our communities, but it needs a constitution, you need to have a proper structure. But we can link you with people who know what to do. It means you will register with the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, DFFE. There is direct funding for FPAs available that will enable you to get equipment and to get training. And those are the critical factors in firefighting. You know that Fizili-Dabi has, over the last 2-3 years, has become a hotspot for veld fires. Every time there's a fire, it feels like half Fizili-Dabi is burning down. And the training is so critical, and there's huge opportunities for our youth in those training. You cannot fight fire if you are not trained. You will kill yourself. That is the reality. We must know the wind, the role of the wind in a fire. We must know the fire speed. We must know the intensity of fire. There's all of these technicalities, and you can't just run in and try to beat down fire. Unfortunately, it's a risk. So let us work concretely on creating the FPA, but make it a priority that we begin to put resources into training. And I think training in general came up strongly today. The need for information and awareness session, as well as more specialized sessions for those who want to plant vegetables. It's different kind of training from those that are dealing with animals and dealing with maybe goats or sheep or whatever. So let us escalate the issues around training, but specifically fire equipment and fire training.
Hari tla tabeng ya dikoduwa e leng disaster management. Re kgothaletsa dihwai tsa rona haholo ho ba le mekgatlo eo ba welang ho yona kapa ho ikalla mekgatlo ena ya Fire Protection Association. Hobane ke bang le na le mekgatlo e jwalo kapa le wela tlasa mekgatlo e jwalo, le tla bona le fumantshwa thupello, le be le fumane le support ya equipment through di request kapa dikopo tse le tla di etsa departmenteng ya DFFE. Mme e bang le na le bothata ba mello ya hlaha ka hare ho sebaka sa lona, le tla kgona kapa le be le matla a ho lwantsha mollo o, hobane ha hona motho ya ka ba le sebete sa ho lwantshana le mello ena ya hlaha e bang a sa fumantshwa thupello kapa a sena disebediswa e leng equipment ya ho lwantsha mollo ena. Taba e nngwe le hlahisitseng kajeno ke ena ya training ya dithupello. Ke taba e hlahileng haholo ka hare ho lona hore ho be le thupello, ho be le matsholo a di-awareness campaign bakeng sa hore le tle le be le tlhahisoleseding information e lekaneng hore na ke mananeo a feng a teng le hore na lefapha le fana ka di-services tsa mofuta ofeng.
When it comes to funding and support, some of you know the CAS process. We've changed the process a lot. You now get, when you submit your application, you get a reference number. I was tired of this thing of applications disappearing and no one knows anything. So you get your reference number, you can trace the progress of your application throughout. Then secondly, you must get a response. You must be told yes or no. If it's no, you must get a reason. Even if that reason is there's nothing else wrong except that we don't have enough money. But if you did not include a lease agreement, if you didn't include your ID, it's out, or automatically out. We won't even look at it further. Now this is one part of the problem we need to discuss with our municipalities. Our requirement for funding to invest in infrastructure is a 7-year lease agreement. Anything shorter than 7 years is out. And there we run into trouble with a lot of municipalities. Mwati, Machabe, Nala last year. All applications were disqualified because they never renewed their lease agreements. Others, the PTOs, 3 months, 6 months, we don't even look at it. So that is a huge problem that we must take up with our municipalities. We funded Sukudi projects, the vegetable project in Paris. We allocated some funding to them in the adjustment process because they needed just a little to get started. The next financial year, this financial year, National kicked them out. There's no lease agreement from Mwani. Now they're at a standstill. They can't move forward, backward, they're stuck. And we have taken up repeatedly these issues with some of the municipalities to say you are disadvantaging farmers. So it's a matter we will take up again with all of our municipalities very strongly to say these are our requirements. And if you are not going to give farmers at least 7 years lease agreement or confirmation of permission to occupy if you're on a commonage for 7 years, we cannot even touch infrastructure.
re lekile go nolofatsa tsela ya go etsa dikopo tseno, mme taba e nngwe e neng e ntse e le mathata ka nako e fetileng ke ya gore lefapha ga le kgutlele go batho ba entseng dikopo, empa go tloga gona jalo ya pele re se re sebetsa ka tsela e fapaneng. E bang o kenya kopo ya gago ga e kena fela go rona re e fa reference number go etsetsa gore ga o batla go etsa e follow up o tsebe gore na taba ya gago e kae le gore na gobaneng go sa thuswa kapa eng kapa eng, o tlabe o na le reference number o tlo e sebedisa go tracer kopo eo ya gago gore na go etsahetseng kae. Tabeng ya bobedi, re boela gape re fana ka mangolo a tlhalosang e leng karabelo kopong ya gago. E bang kopo ya gago e sa ananelwa, o tla fumana lengolo le tla o bolella gore mme kapa ntate tseba gore kopo ya gago ga ya ananelwa tlasa mabaka ana a latelang. Taba e nngwe gape gona tabeng ena ya dikopo ke taba ya gore le le dihwai le ele hloko ditokomane tsa bohlokwa tse le tshwanetseng gore le di kenyelletse ha le etsa dikopo tsena tsa lona, jwalo ka dikopi tsa di-ID le dikopi tsa ditokomane tse ding tse hlokwang ho ya ka kopo eo e kenyang. Taba e nngwe e ntseng e le mathata re ntse re leka ho buisana le yona le dimasepala tse fapaneng, empa e bonahetse le mathata masepaleng wa Matjhabeng le wa Nala le wa Ngwathe, ke ena ya di-lease agreement e le hlahisitseng mona. Taba ya di-lease agreement ho ya ka kopo tsa rona ba le lefapha la temo, lease agreement kapa permission letter o tlabe o na le yona e tshwanetse gore e be 7 years ho ya hodimo, not less than 7 years. Ke ka ho buisana le dimasepala tse fapaneng gore e bang ba fana ka mangolo a tumello kapa di-lease agreement tse e be 7 years ho ya hodimo, hobane ho ya ka kopo ya rona re kekebe ra kgona ho thusa sehwai se nang le lease agreement kapa se senang lease agreement hohang e ka tlase ho dilemo tse supileng. Re ile ra qetella re qadile project e nngwe ke vegetarian mona Baraisi, mme itse ha taba ya teng e se e le tseleng ba tshwanetse ba fantuwe ra fumana gore ha ba na lease agreement. Lease agreement e 7 years ho ya hodimo, mme ka ho ka bomatimane ya tshwanelo kopo eo e tle e hulwe. Ke ka hona re ipiletsang haholo ho dimasepala tse fapaneng gore taba ena ya lease agreement ke taba ya bohlokwa haholo.
If you are approved as a backyard garden project, it means when you move, our funding stays there at your backyard garden project. You don't move with funding, because your conditions to wherever you have moved to is not the same as in your backyard that we assessed. Your water source could have changed, your soil conditions could have changed, your fencing could have changed, your electricity could have changed, you might need environmental impact assessment, so you don't move automatically. So when you are approved for something specific, if we say we approve you, you are going to buy cattle. You are going to buy cattle. You are not going to buy rabbits or goats or monkeys or any other thing but cattle. You can't just do anything with this money. For food security projects, we've had an unfortunate few that we've picked up that we stopped funding, because when they submit their financial statements, they forget, but we can now see that they bought Kentucky, they bought airtime, there was Medicash deposit withdrawals that they can't account for. So all of that is even small amounts. It's taking responsibility for your money.
Tabeng ena ya dikopo hape, taba e nngwe ke ya batho ba santseng ba sebeletsa jareteng tsa bona. E ba o entse kopo wa fumana approval ka mosebetsi o etsang jareteng, o keke wa tloha ka infrastructure kapa ka kopo eo ya ba boya polasing kapa sebakeng se seholo, ya ba o sebedisa approval eo ya jareteng bakeng sa sebaka se seholo, hobane ha o so le sebakeng se seholo o bolela hore o so o hloka metsi a fetang a ne a jareteng, o hloka motlakase, o hloka fence, o hloka ntho tse ding hape tse ngata. Mme ha re fanne ka approval e tshwanetse hore e be approval ya kopo e o e entseng. E be o entse kopo ya dikgomo, ha o kata o fumana tjhelete o tshwanetse hore ke dikgomo, ha o tlohe o so re ha ke sa reka dikgomo, se ke lo reka difariki, se ke lo reka dipudi. Ke a tshepa eo ya utlwahala hore kopo e ba fumane approval e sebediswa hantle bakeng sa approval e o e fumaneng, e seng ho feta moo. Taba e nngwe hape ya bohlokwa bo mme le bontate, haholo le diprojekeng tsena tsa food security, ho na le moo attachang le bo bank statement, and ha o attachitse bank statement ya ya hao re kgona go bona le go lekola gore na ana o sehwai se ikemiseditseng go ntshetsa pele kgwebo ya hao na empa ha re check treatment mo re fumana gore o ile reka airtime o ile reka KFC o ile transferela mama o ile etsa jwang taba eo e nngwe ya di-bank account tsa lona ke taba eo le tshwanetseng le hlokomele haholo hobane wa e attach-a nakong eo o etsang.
Unfortunately, F&D has also meant that even if we approved you to buy livestock, we immediately stop now. There's a blanket ban on buying livestock until we have reached a stage of herd immunity, where we can say we are comfortable that F&D is under control. So what we now negotiate with all of those approved beneficiaries is go re-look at your circumstances. You might rather want to invest in fencing, you might want to develop boreholes, you might want to look at storage or shelter or medication, various other activities, but for now we are not allowing the purchase of any livestock until F&D is under control. It might be 3 months, it might be 6 months, it might be 9 months. So we will review that position, but the beneficiaries have not been cancelled, but their activities will be redetermined with us to see where can they rather invest that money.
Hona tabeng eo ya dikopo bakeng sa batho ba fumaneng approval ya hore ba tle ba reke dikgomo ha hona batho ba re tlo ba dumella ho reka dikgomo mothating ona ka lebaka la lefu lena la F&D. Ka hoo re tla kopa hore ba hobaneng ba na le approval ya ho reka dikgomo ba kgutlele morao business planning tsa bona ba shebe tse ding tsa dintho tse ba ntseng ba di hloka bakeng sa mehlape eo ya bona, e ka ba storage, e ka ba irrigation, e ka ba borehole, o kgutlele lefapheng hape re kgone ho buisana re bone hore na tjhelete eo o tlo reka dikgomo ka yona ke eng so ka se etsang bakeng sa ho ntlafatsa kgwebo ya hao ho fihlela re qetile taba ena ya lefu lena la F&D.
Just my last point on mechanization, we cannot give everyone in the province a tractor because it's the most demanded and needed commodity apparently. Everyone needs tractors, whether it's a horticulture tractor, whether it's something to plow and to plant with, whether it's a combine harvester, any kind of mechanization. We need to find a better model that we can pool resources in a fair and equitable way and use. I know, for example, that he is requested every now and again, and we are also guilty of that. I will phone him to say, can you please go help that youth project? Just plow a 1 hectare or a 5 hectare or this or that. And all of our more established farmers get those requests. It's like that. Because we will never give you a tractor when your project is new. National just laughs at us and say, no, you guys don't know what you are doing. So we need to find better options and better solutions to use the mechanization that we have much more equitably, that everyone can have access. Because the later you plow or later you plant, the later you harvest, the worse is the quality that you get, the worse is your profit margin. It's just the natural cycle of things. So we need to have a serious rethink, and I think Afasa has put some ideas on the table that we are still engaging with. So just that is the information where we are. It's not that we don't want you to have tractors. It is that there is simply not enough money going around for us to give everyone and allocate everyone the tractor that they need.
Tabeng e nngwe ke ya mechanization. Boholo ba lona le dula le kopa diterekere jwalo. Mme taba e re batlang ho e hlalosa ke ena ke hore ha se batho kaofela ba ka fumanang diterekere kapa lefapha le ke la fa motho e mong le mong wa lona mona terekere. Mme ha jwale re ntse re leka ho bua le dihwai tse ding tse nang le diterekere jwalo ho thusa bana ba bang ba banyane hore ba tle ba leme ba etse seo ba hlokang ho se etsa ka diterekere tsena. Empa boipiletso ba lefapha ho lona ke hore le tle le ikopanye le etse organisation kapa a cooperative eo ho ka rekwang diterekere bakeng sa yona. Empa re tseba hore diterekere tseo di tlo una sehwai se seng le se seng e le tsela ya ho ntshetsa pele diterekere kapa dikgwebo tsa lona le bakeng sa ho theha mesebetsi. Mme ke boipiletso bo boholo bo bang bo le teng hobane ho a bonahala hore hohle mo re yang teng batho ba bangata ba ntse ba hloka diterekere, mme ha ho bonahale hore re ka fa motho e mong le e mong terekere.
So you've noticed I've taken extensive notes. I've recorded the phone numbers myself. Other people have also been recording. So we summarize the issues, we classify, we group to say, okay, those who need garden tools or seed or shade net, we have a certain number and we have your details. Others who have raised issues of land, we have your details, we summarize those issues. Next week, Monday and Tuesday, we are with Minister Nyonso, Minister Land Reform and Rural Development in Tabufutsinyani in the Dishla municipality. On Tuesday, I think, is the engagement with CPAs. And the first day, there's some title deed and land beneficiaries session. But I'm sure Afasa is going to join us in Dishla. You should have received that invitation by now. And then towards the end of March, there will be a national integrated rural development in Daba, in Bloemfontein, also hosted by the Minister. But towards the beginning of March, early March, we are going to have the pre-Indaba just focusing on our provincial issues. Whether it's CPAs, there is not discussing land reform. Land reform is an integral part of rural development. You can't separate land from rural development. So anyone who wants to participate, you will see as we begin to create awareness around that event. Those are upcoming events for us. So let me end by thanking everyone for the spirit in which we've had today. You were open, you were honest, you were very frank. We are not buying face of each other here. And it's only that way that we will find solutions to go forward. So never leave hope, never lose hope, and raise your voices. I am extremely happy that you organized into a formalized structure. Work within the structure. It's not a competition amongst each other. Everyone has his own race or her own race to follow and to make your own progress. Don't get distracted, but work within a collective, and then we will be able to be stronger, much faster, and help each other. So thank you very much. provincial rural development indaba mo le lona le tla go ka karolo teng mme ha go di sentse ya ilo fela yena Minister Nyonso o to ba le national rural development indaba ba ke sa go buisana ka tsa ditaba se 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 mona mme ka mo ke se go ha ba teng ha lona kwano le go tlhaisa ditshwantsho le go le bonnete le bo tshepei bo ile la go tlhaisa mo panong ya ka jeno.